Hello, y'all. I just wanted to give you all a peek behind the Grimoire and show you some of the decisions that I have to make when running a game of Trouble Brewing. I have the Grimoire tool on Clocktower.online that I use here. I have the Grimoire mode up. There's also a Town Square mode where you can see dead people with or without ghost votes, but we're going to be a lot more interested in the Grimoire view. Now, for selecting characters online and thus far, though now you'll be selecting them via the tokens that I've got, but up to now I've been using the randomization tool that's in here, shuffling up some characters, and if there was finding a loadout I like. If there was a Baron in play, if say this was a Baron, at this point I would take out 2 townsfolk and put in 2 more outsiders. But I'm actually going to run this setup as Poisoner's Scarlet Woman's Spy for the purposes of this example. Alright, that's a good selection of characters right here. I have been doing assign characters randomly. Then you'll see that I've got Traveler here. This is going to be a Traveler. I would just choose one of these, and we'll say it's a thief. And you'll see that even in Town Square view, the thief their token is visible because their ability is known to all. Alright, so looking here, we have a very interesting setup. Let's go through the things that we need to do first. First things we need to do are replace the drunk token if you accidentally dealt one out like I did. Replace the drunk token with a actual character. In this case, we're going to go Slayer. Because you'll never draw the drunk out of a bag, and in fact it shouldn't have gone into the bag in the first place. That was a little bit of a mistake. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to do setup. So I'm going to look at the washerwoman and decide what townsfolk they're going to see. I think in this game the washerwoman will see the empath. Get a little trust going on between the two. We'll say they see the empath between them and the soldier, who might be bluffing empath or something. Then we've got to decide what the librarian is going to see, which outsider. And for that, I should probably figure out where the drunk's going to be first. And I think the drunk, we'll have the Undertaker be drunk. That's always a classic. So we'll have the librarian. I could either show them that someone is the recluse. I could choose to, or I will show them in this case that the drunk is between, we'll say, these 2 players, the Ravenkeeper and the Undertaker. Next up, the investigator needs to see a minion, and I'm feeling a bit cruel, so I'm going to register the recluse as a Scarlet Woman. And I will show them that the Scarlet Woman is one of this and the mayor. So, not the most useful info. They've turned into a librarian seeing the recluse, but it's alright. Last things I need to do for setup are put down I'd need to put down a red herring, if there was one. If there was a fortune teller, I'd need to put down the red herring. There is not, so I won't. I need to decide on demon bluffs. There's a very limited selection. I'm going to go fortune teller, I will do the monk, and I will do the saint. And with that, we are ready to begin. So at this point, I would give you all your rolls. And the first thing that we need to do, night 1, is go to the thief and tell them what alignment they are. And we'll make the thief... we'll make the thief evil. So the thief is evil. This will be relevant to the chef info later. So next we will take a look at, now we begin with minions. We'd wake up 8, 9, and 10, all set in a line. And we would, before that, we would tell the traveler they are evil and tell them that 2 is their demon. And they would choose a player to put their negative vote marker on. They might choose 2 to kind of indicate that, try and signal to them. Of course, they might not. A negative vote is not always a bad thing. A negative vote can be very useful. We'll have them choose. We'll have them just choose like. We'll have them choose 2. Yeah, that's 2 is good. They're going to try and signal to their demon that, hey, I know who you are. I promise I'm evil. As noted, the demon does not know that the thief is evil. So next we do minion info and tell these 3 that 2 is their demon. Then we'd send them back to sleep. I'd wake up 2. I'd say 8, 9, and 10 are your minions, and your bluffs are Fortune Teller, Monk, and Saint. And then we'd send them back to bed. There's a whole night order sheet. We have a copy of this that you can always look at. And on this tool, you'll see that there's little numbers, and the blue ones show night 1, and the red ones show every other night. So we can just go through those. So next we're going to wake up the poisoner, and the poisoner is going to poison someone. Now I'm going to have the poisoner poison the librarian. So, yep, and then I'm going to send them back to sleep. I've actually changed my mind about something about the washerwoman. I'm going to show the washerwoman either the spy or the... I'm going to show either the spy or the or the soldier is the fortune teller. That'll do. The spy is registering as the fortune teller, and that's why I can do this. The kind of the inverse of what happened with 1 and the investigator. So looking at this, we'd go to the poisoner. We've decided the poisoner is going to poison 4. Then we'd say, okay, go to sleep. We'd wake up 14. I would tell 14 that either 9 or 7 is the fortune teller, and I'd send him back to sleep. Next up, I would go to number 4, the librarian, and say, well, I wouldn't move, and this is important, I don't move these tokens, but I would tell them that one of 13 and 12, for instance, is the drunk. The drunk is actually 3, but they're poisoned, so they get wrong info. All right, then I'd send them back to sleep, wake the investigator, tell them that 1 or 5 is the Scarlet Woman, and then send them back to sleep. That's the 1 is registering as the Scarlet Woman to the investigator's ability. Next up, the chef. And the chef, we have a lot of options. We have anywhere between 0 and 4 we can give the chef. Why? Well, the recluse could register as good or evil to the pair with the traveler, and the pair with the imp, and the spy could register as either good or evil with the Scarlet Woman and the poisoner. So we could have 1, 2, 3, 4, and it could be any combination thereof. The spy could register as evil with the Scarlet Woman, but not with the poisoner. So we could give the chef anywhere between a 0 and a 4. I'm going to probably give them a 0, but I would decide that in the actual game based on context, based on what I was feeling like that day. That's a harder decision to make, and one I'm not going to agonize over because this game isn't actually happening. And so, continuing forward, we go to the empath, and the empath is not poisoned and not the drunk, so they get good info. They learn that 0 of their living neighbors are evil, because 0 of their living neighbors are evil. And then we'd wake up the spy, and we'd tell them that, and we would just show them this. They would get to see everything that you can see here. They'd get to see all these tokens that we have down, and what the demon bluffs are, and all of it. And when they were ready, I would send them back to bed, give it a moment, and then we'd get on with the day. The fortune teller would have chosen after the empath, if there was one, and the butler after them. But we don't have those. So we wake up the town, they go through their day. They decide that they don't like this idea of a traveler, so they immediately exile it, which is very, very rude. Don't do that. But for the sake of argument, we're going to have them immediately exile the thief, and I'm going to have them... We will have them execute another player. We'll have them execute the... We could have them execute the librarian. So the librarian is now dead, and we have some options. But first, the first on any night is always Travelers. The Traveler is dead, so they don't have an ability. Next, we'd go to the Poisoner, who's always first of the regular people. And they would choose someone to poison. We're going to have them poison the Soldier. Then we would go to the Monk, if the Monk was in play. And the Monk would choose to protect someone. The Monk is not in play, so they don't. Then we'd go to if the Imp had died during the day, we would go to the Scarlet Woman and tell them that they are now the Imp. They have actually been the Imp since the original demon died, but they just weren't told up until now, because this is the first really good time to do so. So this reminder is just to remind them that they are the demon, if you'd forgotten. And then we would prompt the Imp for a kill. Maybe that's the Scarlet Woman turned Imp, maybe that's the original Imp, whatever. In this case, we're going to have them kill 7. Now, 7 is the Soldier, so they are safe from the demon, except they are poisoned, so their ability isn't functioning properly, so they will still die in the night. Sad. But that's how life goes. Continuing onward, we would have the Raven Keeper would wake if they were killed, but they weren't, so no new info for them. We would go to the Empath and tell them that one of their 2 neighbors we tell them 0, because neither of their 2 neighbors are evil. That hasn't changed. Then we have the Undertaker. We would go to the Undertaker and we would show them if the Undertaker was sober and healthy, not poisoned and not the drunk, we would show them Librarian, but they are the drunk. So I think I might show them that 4 is the drunk. Make them think that the Librarian was actually the drunk, not either of these 2, when in actuality, of course, it's 3. Or I might show them the Librarian to make them worried that the drunk is one of 12 or 13. In fact, I might do that, actually. I probably would do that. So I'd probably show 4 as the Librarian, which is what they are. Even if the Undertaker is drunk, you often will want to give them some good info, because you need them to trust your info, and if it's completely crap all the time, then they're just not going to believe you at all. You want them to believe you, even though you're giving them bad info. There would be the Fortune Teller and the Butler would go in there. There is an executed marker that I forgot to put down, so this is the executed marker that would show that the Librarian would be who we showed to the Undertaker. And then the Spy, of course, once again, gets to look at everything. And gets to, when they're ready, they will tell me, and I will have them close their eyes, give it a moment, and then we will begin the day. Alright, I'm going to skip ahead a bit to later in the game. After night 1, you can take off the tokens or leave the tokens. For the starting info rolls, I'll often leave them. I'm kind of messy like that. So I'm going to have... The Empath here has been doing some good work. They've gotten the Poisoner killed. In fact, this whole side of the circle is all dead. We'll say that the Imp has died. We're down to... we'll say that the Chef is dead. The Soldier we know died. There's still Scarlet Woman. We'll say the Undertaker's dead. And we're at final 5. So, we just skipped forward a lot. So the Scarlet Woman is now the demon, because the demon has died. So they would get this, and I would replace their token with the Imp. I'm going to say that the town is... So this is the night phase. We're going to say that the town woke up, and they've decided to go to sleep for some reason at Final 5. I say, all right, we're going to start with the demon. The demon decides to kill no one. Maybe they're bluffing Monk and want to bluff a protection, so they're going to kill a dead body. Unusual, but we'll say that they're bluffing Monk. They're trying to pretend that someone is protected. By all means, they can do that. And now we have a choice again. Now, we just skip all these dead players. We go to the Empath. The Empath can get anywhere between a 0 and a 2 because they are neighboring the spy and the recluse, who can each register as either good or evil. Alright, we will say that they get a 2, and town decides to execute the we'll say that town decides to execute town's going to decide to not execute again. I think that's what's going to happen. So the demon is going to, this time, kill the mayor. I'm going to say that I don't really like that option, so I'm going to have them kill the recluse instead. The town's just very not execute happy because I need them to be for the sake of argument. So the mayor is sober and healthy, and I think that the mayor should live, so I'm going to kill the recluse instead. Town goes to 4. We wake up with 4. The empath gets a 0, probably, or 1. Probably 1. But maybe a 0. I don't know. Anyway, town will probably go to sleep. We're going to have the imp kill himself in the night, making the spy the new imp. We'll say 8 maybe had a lot of sus on them. Alright, they wake up in the morning, the empath gets a 1, and this is final day. And town will have to decide, do they want to try and execute the demon, or do they trust the mayor and go for the mayor victory? I think I've shown you most of what options I have as a storyteller. That's why I set up such a big game, was specifically to show you all of the few choices I have as a storyteller. Once I'm done with setup, I don't have a ton of control over how the game goes, much less than in other editions such as Bad Moon Rising or Sex and Violets. It's very much player agency driven. In a way, even those ones aren't quite. So this has been a quick little recording, or a not so quick little recording, just to show you a little bit of the behind the scenes and what decisions I make as a storyteller. I obviously didn't go into much detail. A few last notes: there is a no ability token for once the Slayer has used their ability. I think that's just about all. There is a ability token for the Butler, and there's a no ability once the Virgin has been nominated once, and there is a Master token for the Butler. And I think that's about wraps up everything. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for playing this lovely game. I look forward to playing it with you all at some point. If you have questions, I guess you can always just leave them in. I guess I'm going to upload this to YouTube probably, so leave them in the comments of this video. Or ask me next time you see me if you're one of the folks who I play with in person. And that will be all. Y'all have a good day now.